It's the Zach Martin Show on New HD TV. We're with our guest, Ricky Byrd. He's got a new album out. We'll get to that in a second. You're always busy, Ricky, and I really do appreciate it. And first and foremost, let me congratulate you. Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. Well done. It's awesome to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Not bad.
Yeah, hey, it's good to be in somebody's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or Hall of Fame. I'm not even in the New Jersey Hall of Fame. Think about how pathetic you have to be as a human being like myself not to be in the New Jersey Hall of Fame. Who was the competition there in New Jersey? Nobody. You know, the mayor of
Joe
Edison.
Pesci.
Okay.
Joe
One
Pesci,
guy.
maybe.
Joe Piscopo. Yeah, you got to have a name Joe. That's it. If there was a Joe Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I guess I'd be in that one. So what was that like to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, to finally get in there? The difference between when you don't get voted in and then you finally get voted in, do you have a change of attitude? What's that like?
Well, if I remember correctly, there were 2 or 3 nominations and we didn't get in. Is that right? Something like that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, oh, cool, we're nominated. Yeah. And then that third time, I remember there's a guy there, because I do events there anyway, even before the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing. I'm part of like an all-star band. They don't do it anymore. But I'm part of an all-star band. So it's like me, Jeff Carlisi from 38 Special, Liberty DeVito, maybe some Paul Schaefer, maybe Will Lee, and they would have these huge events, and we were the house band. And then there would be special guests, Mavis Staples or Sam Moore or whatever. So, we're part of their family anyway. So the guy that would put those together, his name was Steve Dobo, and he called me 7 a.m. that third time and said, "You're in."
That's got to be great. What happens when you find out you're in? I know that the bands, they all, whether they like it or not, try to figure out who's going to play the day of the induction. What was the process there? How did you decide who was going to be present and who was going to play with you on stage, with songs, that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, I had nothing to do with that. I just heard that the original band, which is me, Joan, Lee, and Gary. I mean, Eric Amble was before I was there. But when I Love Rock and Roll came out, I joined the band right when we were doing the I Love Rock and Roll album. So they wanted us to be the band that was in there. Van Zandt actually told me, Steven Van Zandt was telling me about it. And I was told that Joan wanted to use her new band to play. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But I would be in the I do the speech, and then I would be in the finale with like Paul and Ringo and Joe Walsh. And in fact, the guy who was producing it said, "I'm going to put you right next to Joe Walsh." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Oh, it's unbelievable.
That's cool.
I remember watching it. Well, Joe Walsh is very interesting. We've had very interesting times together, Joe Walsh and I.
Yeah.
When he wasn't sober, and I guess now he is, I don't know the story, but there were some really funny stories I could tell you, but it's not about Joe. I was really feeling good about you when you got to stand next to Paul McCartney. I mean, come on. Does it get any better than that, than to stand next
to Keith Richards?
Keith Richards, I didn't even notice. I just zoned in on
No,
Paul.
no, you said, "Can it get any better?" I said, "Keith Richards."
Oh, Keith Richards? Yeah.
Well, when I was a kid, when I was a little kid, well, I'm wearing my Keith shirt right now, actually.
Oh,
when I was a kid, in my demographic, you were part of the Beatles or the Stones, right?
Right.
You picked a team. I mean, I was a Stones guy. Obviously, I love the Beatles to death, and listened to them when I was a kid. But I'm being sarcastic. Actually, I'd love to play with Keith Richards just once. But there's a short list of stuff I'd like to do, like play Maggie May with Rod Stewart once, or something, just little things like that. But playing with Paul, and Ringo behind us, with everybody else that was on stage. Let's not forget Stevie Wonder was like next to Peter Wolf and Patti Smith to my left.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that whole thing was like surreal. People ask me if it was scary, and no, it's scarier now when I look back at the pictures, and I go, "Whoa, that was like serious." When it was happening, it was kind of like in the moment, and it was cool, and I had no fear that night at all about that. I mean, I had more fear about giving my speech,
yeah,
than playing on the stage with music.
I remember that night, and I just really felt happy for you. That's what I felt.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind of you.
It was really cool to him to be, because you and I first met when I was at Q1043, and you made it abundantly clear to me. So, Zach, I cannot stand when disc jockeys get on the radio and they say Joan Jett and don't include the Blackhearts. And I thought about it. The next time I got on the air, I go, the Blackhearts and Joan Jett. I love rock and roll. I figured that you deserved to be first for a while just to make up the difference. And with Liberty DeVito, when I was at CBS FM, I would always go, Liberty DeVito and Billy Joel. I would put him first. I go, and you know something, you think about it, Billy Joel would not have any of these hits if not for Liberty. So I was always a fan of the guys who are the unsung heroes of the group. No, seriously.
And that's much appreciated. You know, I mean, it seems petty now when you say it, but it's like, yeah, you're in a band, you're on the road, you pull up to, you're all traveling together, you're all like lack of sleep and this and that, and then you pull up to a theater or a club and it just says, you know, Joan Jett, and it's like, yeah, but you know, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter, but it's like, it's, you know, it's nice. I mean, we're there too, so whatever. Well, I mean, listen, I was grateful. I'm grateful for the whole experience. It was wonderful, and it's taken me places I wouldn't have gone.
Let's talk about your new album that you have coming out, which is really important to you. It's important to me, and it's important to a lot of our friends. I think everybody knows somebody that's had problems with addiction, whether it's alcohol or drugs or sex or gambling. Oh my gosh, that's just probably out of all of them. I can't think of how much damage it's done to some friends of mine. We had a I guess a conversation back and forth on our messenger, and I think people get the wrong idea about what we call, I guess, recovery rock. Like what's the message, or is it as good as all the other stuff that's out there? I'm listening to the album tracks. It's phenomenal. It's good stuff, Thank man. You. So would you do us a favor and maybe give us an insight about when you're doing recovery rock? I'm just calling it that for a label for the sake of the discussion. It's probably got a deeper you have a deeper way of describing it, but I just want you to like tell us your frustrations with that and some of the challenges, and I guess maybe bust some of the myths that go along with this genre of music you're presenting.
Well, I mean, I have no frustrations about it. I mean, it's just what I do right now. It's just rock and roll, you know. It's like every song has some sort of message, whether it's about love or you know, cars or, you know, life in general. My message is just about addiction and recovery and hope, change for the better. I mean, it's just a rock and roll record, though. So the message is just for the people that know, they know, you know. But for the people that just love listening to rock and roll music, the album's great for that, you know. I don't think, I mean, there's a lot of, I just happen to have done, this is my second record with that theme. But there's, you know, Eminem put out a song, you know, Demi Lovato, Sober, you know, people put songs out about it like that. They're talking about their own personal journey. And you always get people who write them or because I know I do, and say, man, it's so cool to hear that you talk about that, and I'm going through it too, or I lost somebody in my family, or, you know, and it's great to know that somebody that I listen to and I respect their music is trying to be part of the solution. So, you know, I'm sly about it. Like the music is all this and that and Ricky Byrd rock and roll, but I'm trying to get people to identify with it. So maybe somebody hears what they might need to hear. Look at different, you know, it throws the cards on the table. This is what happens when you do this. But there's a world out there. You don't have to live like that anymore. And that's it. So I'm not really frustrated. Listen, if some radio stations don't want to play it because it's too deep, it's not deep. It's just rock and roll, you know. It's the words are good words. I mean, why wouldn't you want to talk about something that's positive?
Yep. And good answer on that. Yeah.
You know, and these songs all the germ of all these songs is because I'm like a recovery troubadour. I guess I got that kind of title, but I go around to treatment facilities around the country, or I did before this pandemic, And I play these songs. I mean, I started with one song that happens to be on the Clean Getaway record, and I play them to the clients. Right? I sit there with my acoustic. I just bring an acoustic, and I just play them these songs. And then somebody will come over to me after and say, "Oh, you told my story, and you know, I did the same stuff. And how have you been clean all this time?" But they would always ask me, where could I get this music to take it home? So that's where the Clean Getaway record came from. It's like, oh, what do I do? All right, let me do a record, And I got such a great response from that record that I started writing songs. It seems right now I'm stuck in this weird place that I can't write any other songs. I'm just, every time I write something now, it's got lyrics about something like this, about recovery or something. But I'll sure I'll get out of it at some point. So I started writing the second album. We did the second album. I mean, I do it because I get a response from people that it's helping them. I mean, I've had a guy come over to me, or he found me on social media and he said, "Listen, man, I listened to High Wire from the Clean Getaway record and I wanted to use last night, and it made me think, and I didn't." So like as a songwriter, fabulous. As a guy in recovery, wow. What could be better than that? So I managed to combine the two things I do: rock and roll and helping people out.
I think you should keep going with what you're doing because it's an important message. And like you said, someone was thinking about using and they heard the music. So even in my mind, even if it's one person that you save, you've done an amazing thing. I mean, that's really powerful. And I got to say that I really do appreciate the fact that you're bold, you take a stance, you're honest about your struggles and your frustrations and your addiction, and you share with others. And you're a certified counselor now, right?
I'm a certified counselor in training. You got to get a certain amount of hours, which I can't go into a place right now. I was working earlier at the end of 2019, I was working at a cool place out in Staten Island called Christopher's Reason. So I was a counselor, right? And I loved it. I just loved it. I love doing groups. I love when people get it. I mean, I got some knowledge about addiction, and I definitely got some knowledge about addiction and recovery. I mean, I'm coming up on 33 years clean and sober, September 25th. Which is the same day we're releasing this record to the general public, which is, I figured it was a good day. And as far as keep going with this, we'll put this record out. It's a lot of work, to do the records. I'll always write the songs. Maybe I'll put out singles or something like that. But let's see what happens with this record. I mean, the response I'm getting from people that pre-ordered is amazing. Musically, people are saying, "Oh, it reminds me of like Big Star or the Faces," and I'm like, "Dude, keep them coming. I love that. That's the perfect references." And the message is the people that are in recovery. They find me on social media and they say, "Spot on, bro." So what more can you ask for?
Well, if you can do that project with Keith Richards, well, that would be really something. I just
the yin and the yang.
Yes, definitely. I don't have a coke problem. I can control it. That's. I think
I have a police problem. He used to say.
Yeah, I have a police problem. That would be.
I don't have a drug problem. Well, I mean, listen. There are many more people that some people are not public about it. I mean, my drug and alcohol use was public because I weighed 128 pounds. I mean, it was public. You would sit there in a club after you just played a big place in the Midwest where everybody's looking at you because you come in, you just played the big place in town, and then you go to a club to see some bands and you're sitting there doing blow at the table and you think nobody can see you, So I was visible. So I'm just not anonymous. I'm anonymous about how I keep clean and sober for the reasons of the word anonymous. But recovery is an umbrella term. And, if anybody wants to know how I do it, they could contact me privately and I'd be happy to share some of that with anybody. But for the public, I talk about how, recovery is just a better, if I want to break it down, recovery is just a better way to live than, Getting high is a 24/7 job with lousy benefits.
Yeah, yeah, and lousy results, I guess, yeah, as well. Now, this has been trying times for a lot of people. COVID-19, the situation. I've been working with suicide prevention.
Mm.
Hopefully, Patrick will be able to put the number up if we still have it. But every single one of these interviews, we try to let people know that there are alternatives to taking your life. I know a lot of people can really get despondent and depressed and all of these different things. Maybe they're on the road to recovery and they have a bump in the road, and you fall off the wagon, as the expression goes. This is an important number to put on your refrigerator, to have in your pocket, to put in your purse. 800-273-8255. That is 800-273-8255, suicide prevention hotline. And you can see the website suicide prevention on lifeline.org below. I
We
know
call it
that with
a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
exactly. And I come from a different background as well, so I don't think that you really actually kill your life. You kill yourself physically, but your spirit, and that's a different story altogether. But we're not going to discuss that right now.
And
It's not what this is about.
suicide. I have it in my family, so
Yeah.
it trickles down like
Yeah.
to the kids, you know.
Yep.
It's not just you doing it. So yeah, man, and I know because I'm like in the know in the recovery world that since March, since this pandemic started, the relapse rate
Mm.
and the overdose rate is up like 35
Oh,
percent or something like that. For people that are in recovery, it's rough, that have time, but we know what to do. Like we know where to take it. We got a toolbox that we've collected of recovery things.
uh-huh.
People that are on the fence, that are just getting in, or they're still out there running a game on themselves. Oh my God, it's awful with all the fear and the uncertainty, and got to reach out to people, man. We're out there to help you. We're out
Uh,
there. Use the
besides,
numbers, man. Use the phone
yeah,
numbers.
use the numbers. And by the way, I know Alcoholics Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, and I guess Narcotics Anonymous, all of those different, I guess, resources. They've taken their meetings online, right? So you can always go online. How's that working out? You can explain that, because I really, I don't know, but for the sake of this discussion, since we're talking about your new album, Sobering Times, and some of the tracks on it, and recovery and addiction, what are some of the immediate things that people can do to help get them through until we could start meeting again in person?
Well, I mean, I'm a big believer in community support groups. I think that's fabulous. Uh, and it's the basis of what those 12-step programs are about. It's one alcoholic or addict helping another. So in times like these, um, technology is such where people are having meetings all over the world together, and it should be used. I know people have told me, I don't like Zoom meetings or something like that. I can't stand it. I'm like, oh man, be grateful. It's like no matter what, right? There's T-shirts like in recovery, no matter what, mad, glad, or sad, we don't use. So no matter what, people in that do 12-step stuff, follow the 12-step programs. They found a way to keep it going during this, and I think it's fantastic.
I'm glad that you are open about these kind of things, because a lot of people don't want to talk about them. They go through and you can't blame some people if they faced addiction and they were able to recover, or somehow. Here's the thing that I've always really contemplated, wonder about, when someone goes, "I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic, whatever it might be, I'm a gambler." Um, is there ever a point where you got to stop saying that about yourself, having that label? Is that something that you could move on from? Is it always in the background? Can you give us some insight on that?
Well, I mean, from the clinical standpoint, from me going to my get certified, I'm wired a certain way. So when I do the first one of anything, That's why it's total abstinence in the 12-step world. It sets off an alarm. More, I need more. So I think I'm always going to be have addictive tendencies. I'm trying to choose my words carefully. So yeah, I'm probably always going to be. I will always have the capability of being an active alcoholic and addict if I don't keep it at bay a day at a time. I'm just not active. I haven't been active for 33 years. But if you're asking if like I always have that switch that could be flipped, I think so. I mean, medical, it's a disease, right? It's a disease. It's a disease of the mind, body, and spirit. So there's a lot of spiritual stuff that has to go along with it, but there's an actual brain disease, a disorder, that people that have it, that when they do the first one, your brain, the pleasure centers of your brain, light up like a pinball machine, in layman's terms. But so I think I'll always be that guy, but I haven't picked up in all those years, So I'm doing something right with the help of a lot of other people. And should you call yourself an addict or an alcoholic? I guess that's a personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're trying to change the language now a lot because of the stigma of it. Like they don't say substance abuse. In clinically, they try to say substance use disorder. Does that help? I don't freaking have a clue. But
I don't know.
Whatever. I don't know either. I just know that
I just think that all of us, we have to have some positive attributes that we also are proud of. Like it's good if you want to say I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict, but then
you're cutting in and out.
All right, I'm sorry about that. I go, it's also good to have some positive attributes to brag about. In other words, if you're going to say something negative about yourself, also follow it up with, I'm also a dad, or, something that's wonderful that you want to share with people. Right.
Oh yeah. Well, listen,
positive.
That's how I talk in normal life.
We have your new album, Sobering Times. There's 12 great tracks that really rock on this particular record. I listened to all of them, but didn't get through all of them yet. I mean, I have to spend more time. And that's what I do with albums.
Savor them.
I like to, savor them. And every time I listen, I pick up something that I didn't hear before. Same holds true with, I'll give you an example. Rolling Stones, you like Keith Richards? One day I'm listening to Honky Tonk Woman, and I must have played it on the radio hundreds of times, heard it thousands of times. All of a sudden I'm like, how the hell did Charlie Watts play the cowbell and play the drums like that? How is that possible? Do you have a third arm? And it turns out it was Jimmy Miller who was playing the cowbell the entire time. So there you go.
And Jimmy Miller played drums on a bunch of stuff too.
Well, he was a percussionist. So yeah, he would definitely get in on the drums every now and then. But this is kind of things that happen when you're listening to songs. This new song, what I'm really excited for you about is how you, I feel like Ricky Byrd at the age of 15, 16, he's excited about his new album. He's on Facebook. He's telling everybody, the first batch is coming out. I got 25 and, get your orders in now and I'll sign it for you. All of that stuff. You know what? That is really cool. I think that social media is both a blessing and a curse. I don't go to Facebook to engage people in their political horse crap because I just had enough of that. But I really love when you get on there and you start talking about your new music and what kind of reaction are you getting on social media that makes it a little bit easier for you to present this album and sell it to people.
Well, interesting coincidence. I just got something from somebody, I think they wrote it on LinkedIn or something, saying how they loved how I gave everybody a chance to vote on which songs should be on the record. Like I think I sent people like an early version of I had 15 songs or something. And I said, hey man, help me choose which songs, because I don't have it in my brain anymore to be able to cut. I don't have the heart to cut any of them. And people did. So just yesterday, he wrote that he really appreciated how I kind of brought everybody in on it. Help me pick this, this and that. I mean, part of it is practical. There's no, this is the music business for a lot of us these days, where you have to go be your own promotion guy, you know. So I just, you know, I'm a friendly guy. I like to talk. And over the years, I learned how to use social media to, you know, get my point across. And funny enough, every time I go on there and I post another thing about the record, you know, I keep everybody abreast of what's going on. Like, I just got a bunch of boxes. The physicals are in. I'm going to start sending them out.
Yeah.
And then I get a bunch of pre-orders. I mean, it's just it's sociable. It's being sociable, and it's business also. You know what I mean?
I got to tell you, it's really cool. It's a great way to connect with your fans. And then after this quarantine is over with, right? And you decide that you're going to play little intimate shows, you're going to have sellouts. People are going to like, oh my gosh, I'm finally going to get to meet this guy. We became, hey, I'm friends with Ricky Byrd. He's my friend on Facebook. There's no distinction between, now you're finally feeling what it's like for a guy on the radio. You know how many friends we have? They listen to us all the time. So they think they're,
well,
and that's cool,
yeah,
you know?
But the difference is when you have a radio show, when like Q104, right? Or you're in New York. When I'm talking to people on Facebook, they're spread out all over the world.
All over the world, yeah. Well, no, we get now it's like that for all of us. We have, you know, fans. Remember, I did a syndicated rock show for a long time, so you get fans all over the place. And then, you know, they follow you on Facebook. I mean, we make great friends on Facebook. Let's face it. You now are interacting with people that there's no way in the old days you would ever meet, and you make some wonderful connections and meaningful connections. And I think that there's two roads you can go down on social media. You can make it miserable for everybody, and you can be nasty and start fights. Sometimes I know people like to start fights and then get off the discussion, and you know, that's kind of funny, I suppose. Or you can use it to really help people.
That's called an instigator.
Instigator, yeah. Provocateur. You could be a social media provocateur, or you could like really help people. Have fun.
Man, I miss that tripod right now. I'm getting a cramp in my arm. But yeah, I mean, look, I went through a phase too, because I love to argue, and I'm real good. You know, but I just was like, you know what? I can't do it, man. I just can't do it anymore. So
yeah,
I'm very subtle. Like I may say something politically, but it's funny. You know, I try to make it. I just get
fine.
I don't give a.
That's cool.
I don't care which side you're on. Just don't be a jackass on my page.
Right. Exactly.
That's it. Period. Because that'll get you thrown. Yeah, that'll get you thrown out. That's how I look to see. Like, I get a lot of friend requests, right? So now I have to go on people's pages.
Yeah, you got to see who your friends are.
Not who they vote for, but how they talk on their page.
Yes, exactly. You
like if they're constantly fighting and arguing, I don't want you on my page. I just don't. So
yeah. Well, all I can say is this: you're not going to really change anybody's mind. So I started to question, like, why do people do that? Which is why I hang out on LinkedIn. And the only thing that I do on Twitter is I listen to my wife, who's reading she reads all of the things that people tweet at each other. And some of the lines are very funny. So I just sit there and let my wife read them to me, and we just laugh and laugh. The barbs that go back and forth.
It's basically what it is you know, it's the editorial page in a newspaper brought to life. You know, so it's basically for people that never had a voice, and they're just like going hog wild on this, man. You know, they're just screaming at each other, and it's like, dude, I got enough freaking things going on in woods, you know?
All right. Instead of focusing on that, this is a great question. What was your most favorite Facebook friend that you made that might be, you know, somebody that you might have been a secret fan of, or I can't believe I'm friends with this guy, or we interact? Do you have any of those? For me, it was Ricky Byrd.
I knew you were going to say that. Do I have to say it's you?
No, you don't have to.
I mean, I got some fun friends. like on Twitter, I talk to Richard
I'm
Lewis
sorry. Sobering
sometimes.
Times, your album. How can people get a copy?
I just got boxes of them delivered. So you could get it at rickybyrd.com. It's coming out on September 25th officially, uh, uh, which is my 33rd Clean and Sober anniversary. But you could pre-order it now, and now I have physical copies. So you could get, if you pre-order now, I'll pop one in the mail. I mean, if you go on rickybyrd.com, there's different packages. There's unsigned, signed, digital and signed, whatever. There's no vinyl yet because in the pre-orders that's been going on for a while, I didn't get enough people requesting vinyl. So if that turns around, then I'll print up some vinyl. But the reaction I'm getting so far from people that are getting their digital copies, because I just got the physical, I just sent them out, so nobody's received it yet, is overwhelming. Everybody loves it. Everybody's got their favorite songs, and people in recovery obviously are going to love it because it touches on all these different points of the journey from active addiction to recovery and all things in between. The music is straight up rock and roll. I got on drums Steve Holley, who played with Wings, and Joe Cocker, and he plays with Ian Hunter's Ramp Band. He played like 3/4 of the record, but then I had Liberty DeVito play on a track. I had Rich Pagano, who plays with the Fab Four, played on a track, the opening track, Quitting Time. And I had Tommy Price, my old bandmate from the Blackhearts, played on 2 tracks. He played on a song called Together, and he played on a song, I did a cover of Merle Haggard's The Bottle Let Me Down. I did 2 covers. I did that, and I did Reach Out, I'll Be There by the Four Tops. And, I wanted to choose, I was only going to put one. So I had to choose between the 2. And all of a sudden there was this like awful commercial for like car insurance or whatever it was, I can't remember, that had a really bad version of Reach Out. And I said, yeah, so I'm not going to put that one out yet because I got a pretty slamming version of it, my version of it. So we'll hold that for like a bonus track or something down the road. But it's all just starting to happen now. Actually, if you go to Bandcamp, which I just found out about Bandcamp, I put a bunch of stuff up there. There's actually, I put Together up there. You just go to my page, Ricky Byrd on Bandcamp. You could hear the song and then just pre-order the song. The deal is this. So eventually, hopefully, we'll get back to normal. I'll be able to travel around and go to treatment facilities again and become the recovery troubadour I was before this happened. I not only play for the clients, but I gave away like 2,500 copies of Clean Getaway, like in a year's time or something like that, a little over a year's time. I bring a stack of them every time I go to a treatment facility, and I leave them with the clinical director so the clients could take them home when they finish treatment, when they complete treatment, right? So the deal is, like, the more of these I sell, the more I could afford to manufacture batches of them to give away. That's why I do this. I do this to try to. I love when people get it. When I see people get it in recovery, and they change their life. To me, that's fabulous. I've been blessed enough that I've changed my active addiction to a recovery guy, and I just love seeing other people get it. I hate seeing people struggle. When I was working at that treatment facility out in Staten Island, you see kids that are OD'd, been in the hospital, in jails, like young kids, man, on opioids, and it's just tragic, man. It's like, so it's my responsibility as a guy that's been given this gift to pass it on to the next person, and that's all I try to do. But I do it with music, I do it in my recovery world the way that we all do it if you're in recovery, but like I stumble onto this thing of combining rock and roll and the message of recovery, and it's been really successful as far as the reaction I'm getting from people. So I'll keep doing it as long as people keep wanting me to do it. The title, Sobering Times, dude, I was going insane trying to find a title. I didn't want to be like, there's so many recovery words and phrases. I was like, I don't want to use anything. And I was actually on the phone with somebody talking about the world as it stands. And I said, yeah, man, these are freaking sobering times. And I just went, oh, damn. There's my title.
There
It
you
just
go.
like came out of me after agonizing.
And many years from now, some disc jockey on the radio will go, "Hey man, he got this idea for the name of the album," and they'll be totally off. But we have the true story right here, so you're gonna have to refer back to this.
He got Chinese food and it was in a fortune cookie.
There you go. You know what? That's actually a better story. I like that. He got it. I'll use that story. Got it from a fortune cookie. So make sure you patronize.
He was having some dim sum and he got some soup and a fortune cookie, and it's sobering times.